Father, we want to thank you for this new day, for yet another week, and more of a chance to learn. Not just to learn, but to learn more about you. As we spend a few minutes in this story, we ask that you give us something to learn today and something to take with us as well. Pray all these things in the name of Jesus. Amen. Well, there were two things that people in the district knew about a guy named John. First of all, they knew that John loved his wife and his grandma. But the second thing that they knew is that he loved his job more than he loved his wife and grandma. Because what he did for a living is he was a marshal for a large area of land. And one week he got a notice in the mail that there were a bunch of thieves in his area, and he got a good group of people and he went out to find the thieves. They caught the thieves, but the problem was they couldn't catch the leader. The leader disappeared. And the whole district heard about it, and that was all that they were talking about when John, his wife, and his grandma came into town. They went into the country store and, did you hear? Did you hear that they couldn't catch the leader of the bandits? And John's like, oh, not this again. They get their stuff and they go home, and then the next week someone comes knocking on his door and says, John, we know where the leader is. And so he tells his wife and grandma goodbye, and his wife says, hold on just a second. Here, you don't want to forget your lunch. And he goes out, he spends all day trying to find the leader of the bandits. Night comes. His wife and grandma are sitting at the table, waiting for him, praying for him. They've got supper already ready. And they have their Bible open. And they're reading Psalms 91. And they're praying for him. And all of a sudden the door flies open. And John is so mad. And he says, you know, we almost got him. Almost got him. He stomped that house. So mad. And Grandma goes, oh, you stop it. You're acting like a bear. You come down here, you sit down, and you eat your soup. And he went, oh, okay. And he sat down and he started eating his soup. Looked over at the Bible and he said, you know, I don't understand why you believe that. That doesn't help. That never will help. You should just leave it alone. And he finishes his soup, puts a few more logs on the fire, and it's time to go to bed. They lock the door, and all three of them go upstairs, and they go to bed. Next morning comes, and they come downstairs. Oh, it's cold. Why is it so cold down here, Grandma says. And John's like, well, you know, the fire probably went out in the middle of the night. And then Grandma saw that the window was open. She's like, that's not good. And then she goes into where the table was, and she looks, and on the table the Bible's not there. Instead of the Bible being there, there was a large hunting knife. Very big knife. And she went, oh, you know what this means? The leader of the bandits was here last night. And he took our Bible and left the knife in its place. John said, I'm going to go find that guy. And he got as many men as he could, and for the next 3 months he went and he looked and he looked and he looked, and he could not find the leader anywhere. A year went by, and war broke out in the country where they lived. John knew that he needed to serve, and so he told his wife and his grandma, I have been called to become a captain of a little group of men and lead them into battle. And they're, oh, please don't go. No, I have to serve my country. You know that. So he goes and he serves, and one day, the battle was so bad that John got shot right on the edge of a lake. And he dropped, but he stayed very still, because the enemy was coming and they were looking to see if there was any survivors. They couldn't find. John laid so still. They didn't know he was still alive. But across the lake, there were some fishermen that they had been watching the battle. When it stopped, they got in their boat and they rowed over, and one of them said, oh, we have to row faster to see if there's anyone still alive. So they get over there, they start looking and looking. John knows that the enemy's gone, and about that time he lets out a small cry, and they hear it. And the three come running over to him, pick him up, and they put him in the boats. And they take him over to the other side, and one of them looks at him again, and he says, I'm going to take care of this guy myself. Takes him to his cabin. He and his wife start taking care of him. And then a few weeks later, John starts understanding where he is. And they ask him, do you have any family? He said, yeah, I do. Give us the contact information and we'll get in contact with them so that they can come and be with you. So they contacted his wife, and his wife came to take care of him as well. And one day, fisherman and his wife said, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to go on a short vacation on the other side of the lake. We're going to let you use our house as long as you need. And both John and his, oh no, don't do this. Oh, no, it's okay. You need time together. So John continues to heal. His wife helps him. And a couple of weeks later, the fisherman and his wife come back. By this time, John is at full health and he's ready to go home. And before they leave, all four meet again. And John looks at the fisherman and he says, thank you so much. You have helped me so much. I don't know what we can do to thank you. And the fisherman looks at him and he says, no, you don't understand. You've helped me more than I've helped you. John goes, that couldn't be. How could I help you more than you've helped me? And the fisherman's wife says, hold on just a second. Hold on. Fisherman goes into the back room and he brings out an old Bible. And John's wife looks at the Bible and goes, that's Grandma's Bible. And the fisherman says, you're right. You know me by this name, but my real name is actually this. I was the leader of the bandits that you were trying to catch. And that night that you came in all mad, I was behind your couch, ready to kill you. But when your grandma opened the Bible and she started reading, I knew I couldn't do that. So when all of you went to bed, I knew I had to have that book. So I went and I took that book and I left the only thing I had that was valuable, my knife in its place. And I went and for months I read that Bible and it changed me to who I am today. And he looked and he smiled again at John and he said, it's because of what you did that made me the person that I am today. Now what's interesting with this is based on a true story. Every single moment that we are around, we have an impact on each other that we don't know. Everything that we say, everything that we do, always impacts somebody. Whether it's taking people down one way or taking people down another way. Our biggest thing that we should do every single moment of every single day is point people to one person. You know who that person is? What's his name? Jesus. We should show how much we love others by how much we love them. Will you pray with me one last time? Father, that is our prayer right now. That you would help us to show Jesus to others. Help us to be more like him in and through this school day, in and through our week. Help us to have fun. Help us to learn. Help us to grow as we continue to follow Jesus. This is our prayer in the name of Jesus.